Welcome to the Real Freedom Podcast, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Real Freedom Podcast. Mike Swenson here, and today I've got Eric Martel, and he's going to share his story with you about finding financial freedom. It's something that he's very passionate about it. He's actually wrote a book about it and would love to share his journey of how he's done that through real estate. Has been a big part of that. So Eric is the founder of MartelTurnkey, which provides properties for people to buy for real estate investing to be able to gain financial freedom. And then he's the author of the book, Stop Trading Your Time for Money. And so we're certainly going to talk about a lot of the topics in there as well. So welcome, Eric. We're so thankful to have you on. If you want to just take a couple minutes and tell a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Mike. So I bought my first apartment building when I was 18 years old. I was still at the second year of university, and I had met a mentor that was just a regular community college teacher, and he managed to build like a 36-unit apartment building, and that's just fascinating me. And then I knew from a very early age that I didn't want to be in the 9 to 5 kind of scenario. I only want to be in that group. And so when I was introduced to that real estate investor, I thought I better latch on to him and learn everything I can. Mm-hmm. And that's what he did. He basically mentored me into finding these properties. And so I bought my first 8-unit apartment building at that time. And but there was really, I had no money. I had no money down. I had, I managed to get like the seller to give me a second mortgage on the property. And in those days, the first mortgage allowed me to add a second mortgage to the property. So I basically had zero money down, except a $75 check that I had to pay for the mortgage approval. So that's about it. So I was pretty lucky. But then after that, I was still studying at university. I graduated, worked as an actuary. So, and for those who don't know, an actuary is someone that specializes in mathematics of financial risk. So I've done that. I've worked as an actuary for a while, an associate actuary in consulting. Then I went into high tech, and throughout this journey, I wanted to do more real estate, but I was always in cities and situations because I had moved to another big cities, and I was in the city. All the cities I was in, it didn't make sense. I couldn't invest. I couldn't find anything that would cash flow, or I would have to put so much money in for them to cash flow that the return didn't make sense. So I kept searching. Moved to so I was working in high tech. Had a ton of stock options, moved to California and San Francisco Bay Area, and in 2000, so just before the dotcom bubble burst. And so basically it kind of wiped out most of my stock options. And but even then, I was with what I had left over, I was really trying to go and invest in real estate in San Francisco Bay Area. And everybody knows that market. Not an easy market to invest in. And so I said, okay, well, and at that dot-com bubble really kind of refocused my attention on what was important. So I wanted to be in control of what I was doing in terms of investing and managing the money, my money. Mm-hmm. And then really, when you put your money in the stock market, the CEO and the executive team, they decide what they do with your money. And, and then you have all kinds of other external influences that affects the price of the stock. And so you're really not in control. And so I wanted to be in control. I wanted to have passive income. I tried all kinds of different businesses, gourmet sauce company, low carb grocery stores. We did all kinds of fun stuff. And, but eventually it came down to coming back to real estate, and we couldn't do it in the San Francisco Bay Area. So we started looking outside the Bay Area. So that's when we looked at Memphis, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and this was our first property, our first single family rental that we bought, distressed, renovated it, and rented it, and everything worked out great. And said, okay, well, let's do two more. Let's do, and then we kind of grew that way. Initially, when we got started, it was just about us building a portfolio of passive income to achieve financial freedom. But soon our friends and families and other people that we knew, they said, well, what are you guys doing? And blah, blah, blah. And then they wanted to invest. They wanted to have single family rentals. And that's when we thought, well, maybe there's a business here for us. I mean, can we scale this up? I have my two sons with me that are also interested in real estate investing. And then, so then we said, okay, well, let's go for it. And so this is where we are now. We started MartelTurnkey a few years ago, and we're currently doing about 100 properties per year. About 10 a month. Just last couple of months, we've actually acquired 12 properties a month each, and we've sold about 10 a month. So that's it's a pretty good run rate right now that we're at, and pretty happy with that.
Yeah, so let's dig into that a little bit. So when you first got started, how did you find these properties? Because it's not where you live, it's not an area
Mm-hmm.
that you're familiar with. I think a lot of people, what I like to highlight for people is, we have, as an example, a realtor here in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area saying, hey, I'd like to get started into rentals. I don't know how. And here
Yeah.
you are getting started in rentals in other states and multiple states to where you're buying, 10, 12 a month. Like, how do
Mhm.
you find these properties in a state that you're not familiar with? And kind of what are the obstacles that you had to overcome to get a window in there and then to grow?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. I think on one hand, I think it's very important to build a team on the ground that you can rely on, and
Mm-hmm.
having the right team. So property management company that's solid and aligned with your goal, a realtor or somebody, or realtor / project manager. If you're
Mm-hmm.
going to do a lot of the rehab, if you do turnkey, you don't need that. You just need the property management company. But for us, we wanted to find somebody that would do the construction and all of that. So, putting that team on the ground was very important.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing too that's great is in the United States is that we have access to a lot of data, something that you don't have in other countries. I came from Canada, and it's very hard to do that in Canada. You have to work with a realtor that really controls the data. If you want to find comparable sales, you have to talk to a realtor to find out what comparables, and then you have to rely on that person to give you the right after repair value. Here in the US, we have access to all that data free, and you can do your own judgments as to what the after repair value will be. So that's great for that. But we also, coming from a math background, so I did a lot of analysis on all the MSAs and all of that, metropolitan statistical areas, to find the right metropolitan area for us to invest in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really went like very high level, kind of like, okay, what is the ideal metropolitan area for a passive income strategy? Well, we want to do rentals, single family rentals. So we want to have landlord friendly states. We want to have something that's growing at a sustainable rate. We don't want to have like a city or something like that that's growing so fast that the demand for housing is too high, and then we overpay for properties. And and then an alignment also with the median rent versus the median house value, so that we have kind of like we can find a 1% ratio that we're looking for. So that's so analyzing all that. That's why we came up with a number of cities that really work out for us. And actually, I've published all that data in a website called investor-list.com. So if people want to go in there, so it's easy to search, it's easy to look at all the different criteria. And so, I'm just sharing with everybody. It's free. There's no charge or anything like that. It's just to help investors actually find an area that would work for them. It doesn't work only for passive income, so it could be for other strategies as well.
So you first started in Memphis,
Mhm.
and then I also see here, the cities that you have are Cleveland and Detroit and St.
That's right.
Louis.
That's right.
So that's where you're currently at. And do you have plans to grow to other cities right now? Or are you finding that you're able to kind of keep the rates that you need, the growth that you need, just with those four cities?
So yeah, I mean, we're planning to grow in the future. Right now, the Cleveland and Memphis area are solid. I mean, we've been in these markets for a while. St. Louis, we were in there before. We had some issues with our partner on the ground there. So now we have a new partner, and then we are moving forward with St. Louis. So we just changed gear this month with St. Louis. In Detroit, same thing. So we found the right person there in the right neighborhood to invest in. I think Detroit is a little bit, it's a different kind of market. So we're kind of just on the outskirt of Detroit, and we have a very nice area there that I think people are going to be excited about. So yeah.
So how do you find those partners? Is it people that you've known in the past? Is it business connections that you've had in the past in the cities, and you just ask them, okay, who are some property managers that you know? Is that how that developed?
So we do. We also, we looked at other cities. I mean, the key is really the city is important, but the team on the ground is more important. So, I mean, there were some other cities that we were interested in, and we couldn't find partners. And how we found partners is really contacting realtors, contacting property managers, property management companies, and then figuring something out. Somebody that is going to be in alignment with us. They have the same goal. They want to grow. They're hungry for growth, and they want to work with us and grow with us. So I think that's very important. We want people that are very responsive. So if you talk to realtors, often, you call them to get to give them new business and say, I want to buy 10 houses a month, and it takes them 3 days to respond. So that's probably not going to work out, because when you want something from them, then how long is that going to be? Now you want to buy 10 houses, it takes them 3 days. So it's going to take them 3 weeks to respond if you want something from them. So we want people that are super responsive. The people that we have on our team, they're just absolutely incredible. And we wouldn't be where we are today without them. They're super responsive, they're successful, and and our success is due to them. So that's great. But that team on the ground is key. If you don't have the team on the ground, go in that market. Period. So yeah, that's very important.
So what's important to the new? So if you've kind of identified the city, you've got your team around you. What are the important things that you're looking for in those specific properties?
So after we've looked at the city, we also looked at the neighborhood. So we're looking for B and C class kind of neighborhood. So we're looking for the manager, mid-level manager or supervisor level, and then also kind of like the hourly workers kind of thing. So we stay away from the D class neighborhood. We're looking for low crime rate. We're looking for high level of owner occupied properties. We're looking at least like 60% owner occupied properties, because we want, if you rent the house to a tenant, a single family house to a tenant, and everybody there owns their house, they're more conscious of the appearance of the house. They maintain their homes and all of that, and we want the tenant to feel at home, so that it's their house. They're renting, but it's their house for all intents and purposes. So they want to maintain, they want to be part of the neighborhood and all of that. So that's kind of what we're looking for.
So then as you grow, if you're purchasing properties in neighborhoods where there's a lot of owner occupied, I'm assuming eventually you're going to have to keep growing further and further out, because you're going to buy your own houses that are now rentals in a heavily owner occupied neighborhood. So for, let's just say Memphis as an example, since you've been there the longest, how has that growth happened? You're kind of now picking up neighborhoods near there, or you're picking other areas within the metro, or how does that does that growth happen for you?
Amazingly, over time, what happens is that a lot of these single family rentals, they were not for sale like two years ago or 3 years ago, but now the owner is tired of the property, or the tenant is moving out, or the pandemic happened and the tenant didn't pay for a few months or something like that. So then they are basically they want to get rid of the property. So there's a lot of shift like that. So we're still finding houses on a regular basis in the very same neighborhood that we've been buying for years. It's just like, they're not ready yet when we first touch them. We've also have new strategies for reaching out to owners. So we started a new a wholesaling company called Rocket Offer, and they're basically calling people, texting owners, and see if they're interested in selling their properties. They do about 10,000, 20,000 texts to or contacts per day, trying to find properties for sale.
So then how does so now that you've got the properties, now you've got your company. So how could somebody, partner with you through your company now?
So so basically what happens is that our investors, the people that are looking for financial freedom, they want to build that passive income portfolio using turnkey rentals. I mean, they would go on our website and then they would start following us on the website. So I look at properties and say, hey, I'm interested in buying a property. They would talk to some of our sales people, and then they would be paired up to a property at one point. They make an offer just like other properties. At that point, we get the ball rolling. We introduce them to the lender if they want financing. Later on, we introduce them to the property management company, the insurance company. I mean, this is turnkey. So by the end of the process, we would close on the property. There will be a tenant in place. They're going to be fully financed and all of that, and there'll be cash flowing from day one.
Now, these are properties that not properties you currently own. It's properties that you're out hunting that are active on the market, right?
So these properties, we buy them up front, right? So we buy these.
Okay, so you own them. You're selling them to the investors.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
Got it.
Because when we buy them, they're distressed properties. So we go and renovate them. Then we rent them out, and then we sell them to our turnkey buyers.
Got it. Yeah, that's a great solution, because so many people, the objections you always get are, I don't really know the first steps. I don't know about financing. I don't know about property managers. And so you're really helping them through every kind of holding their hand. And not only that, but you've already taken the rough property and turned it into a turnkey property, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, do we really cater to the people that they're working full time? They don't have time to go and figure out what market to invest in, which house to buy, finding a contractor. Yes, you can have a higher return if you do all those steps, right? But you also have a lot more risk, because did I buy the property at the right price? Is the renovation okay? Do I have the right contractor? Is he going to finish? Is it the right quality? Am I going to get the rent I expected to be? Am I going to have is the house going to appraise at the right amount for me to refinance at the end? If you're looking at that whole burst strategy, it takes a lot of time to do that. And my recommendation is that, you're working full time. You don't have time to do this right now. You will, but you don't have time right now. So just build your passive income portfolio, achieve financial freedom, or maybe get to 80% of your living expenses covered by passive income. Then if you want to do this full time, then quit your job, do it for time. Then you can do anything you want after that. You can do commercial, mobile home park. There's a lot of different ways to invest in real estate. Now you're going to have the time to do it. And so that's my recommendation anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good transition, because I wanted to talk about the book next. So talk to me about the journey of writing your book. Why did you write it? And then obviously let's cover some of the material in it, because these are all the principles of what I'm passionate about as well on our Real Freedom podcast. So talk about the book a little bit. How did that come to be, and why did you want to write it?
So writing a book, I think, is a very interesting journey, because initially the book that I wrote, that I published, is different than the book that I had in mind when I got started. And it was quite a very interesting journey to do that. And to me, like now, the finished product is really about like breaking down the barriers that are standing between kind of you today and your the financial freedom goal that you have. And so then that's kind of how it's organized. And I think that the first part is really around the mindset, kind of like having the right mindset and talking about that and doing looking through the limiting belief and doing a limiting belief inventory and kind of like working through that. I think there's a lot of limitations that are coming from our own belief that need to be addressed. And I talk about my own belief too when I grew up. And so we talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of limiting beliefs, I mean, so I've been in real estate now for almost 7 years, and I feel myself talking more about mindset and and mental strength than anything, because that really is the battle. I mean, as a the normal stats are with realtors, 85% of them don't make it 2 years because it's so challenging. And yet what they're foregoing is the fruit on the other side. They think, oh, this is too hard, I can't do this, I'm not making what I thought I would. But if they just hang with it, that benefit's going to come. And now you look at what you're doing to be able to acquire 100 properties in a year. That's out there. You might have to go through year 1, year 2, year 3 to get to that. So it's all about mindset. So I love that that's where it starts, because for a lot of people, the limiting belief might be, I'm not worthy enough, or I don't have the skills to do this, or, I haven't been in real estate that long, or I'm working in a different industry right now, so I can't do real estate on the side. And so yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And feeling uncomfortable. So a lot of people feel uncomfortable about making money or making too much money. It sounds weird to say, but that's true. I mean, people feel uncomfortable with that. They feel like, anyway, that it's kind of dishonest somehow that they're making money a certain way. But also the mindset too is like, what now as a full-time employee, you have a certain mindset as well. And then when you go and you are doing passive income portfolio, you have a portfolio of rental income, it's a different mindset as well. Now you're a business owner. And, there's a book that I read a while back called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And this is really about that shift of mindset, saying, okay, well, now my boss is telling me what to do, and versus, I have to decide what to do. I make things happen. I can't wait for anybody to make things happen for me. If I want this to happen and go in that direction, I have to do something. I have to take action. So that's about the whole mindset kind of thing. Obviously, mindset is not everything. So you have to have some kind of, and that's what I found. I found a lot of people also in terms of strategy or things that they do, is that things are not in alignment. So that's why I created a tool called like strategy alignment tool. And basically it helps people align their goal with the strategy that they pick, and then also kind of like the resources that they have available and the market. So all of these things need to be aligned in order for it to work. And so, I mean, this is why, like, if you want to build a passive income portfolio, your goal is to achieve financial freedom, then you look at passive income strategies, there's, blah, blah, blah. And then, so if you do single family rental, there's all kinds of things. You can do BRRRR, you can do, and you can obviously do turnkey. But what you have to look at is also your resources. What are the resources that I have? Do I have enough time to do that? How much money do I have to invest in that? And these kinds of things. Do I have the right skills or resources, capabilities to do that? And then looking at the market, not every market is good for cash flowing properties, especially if you consider the amount of money you have to invest. So looking at the market on top of that. So all these things need to line up. And this is what I found out in my journey, is that, I would be in San Francisco, and I was busy, very, very busy. I didn't have time to research too much. I didn't have as much money as I needed to make some of these flips or whatever I wanted to do. So I was in the wrong market. So I had to find another market where my resources were more aligned to that. So Yeah, so that's kind of like that's the part of it. And then of course there's the skills. So what I talk in my book as well is all the different skills that you need in order to understand real estate and understand kind of like the real estate investment and stuff like that. And hopefully somebody can take this book and then throughout and follow their own journey and then complete at least one transaction using this book. I mean, that's my goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. I mean, so many people I realize are just, they feel stuck. And the hard thing is, you, like you were saying, what got you here isn't always going to be the thing that gets you where you're going. And so there has to
Mhm.
be some sort of change there. And so you have to make a
Yeah,
decision that, okay, I'm going to have to execute in a different way. If I do want this level of financial freedom, I have to think differently about
that's
my
right.
time, to think differently about my money, think differently about needing people around you to help build. Like you have a strong team. It's not you driving to Memphis and driving in your car around looking at stuff and then hopping in your car and going over to Cleveland. Like you have to
Yeah.
have those people. So when you line up that domino run, now you've got a strong company that's growing quickly, and you've been able to achieve that freedom yourself.
hmm Yeah, and, for the turnkey buyer, it's even easier because all you have to worry, you get introduced to the property management company. That's all. That's all you care about. So you continue your full-time job. You put $20,000 down to buy the property. We connect you with the lender, property management. The tenant is in place when you sign the contract. When you actually close, that's it.
Mhm.
Then you get your next $20,000. You can buy another property. So that works out pretty well for people that are working full time. So and there's no need to. Of course, they have to trust us that we're in the right market and all that. But we've been doing it for a few years. We have a lot of, we've worked with these people for a few years as well. So we know we've tweaked the system. We know the quality that they do, and that's why we're standing by them.
Yeah. So talk
Yeah.
about your financial freedom journey a little bit. You've had some ups and downs, and now you've been able to have some ups here these last few years. But talk about that journey for your financial freedom and your time freedom. How have you seen that grow, and then where do you see that going in the future?
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we've tried like since 2001, 2002. I mean, we've tried all kinds of different ways to achieve, financial freedom. So I don't know if you've seen that book, Multiple Streams of Income. So that was kind of
Mhm.
like the first book that I read, and they had like an acronym called the Money Tree or something like that to talk about that. So that was kind of my first kind of thought. It's like, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to build streams of passive income,
Mhm.
and this is very important because first of all, it's inevitable. At one point, you're going to want to retire, and so you want to start building that as soon as possible. And especially in the gig economy, you want to smooth out income. You want to kind of like fill in the gaps in income that you have. Even if you're a full-time employee, you never know when you're going to lose your job, and
Mhm.
then all that kind of stuff. So the importance was there. Like I knew it was critical for me to build passive income, and that's why I try all these different businesses, and came back down to real estate and going out of state. But we couldn't have done that business without a couple of things, without iPhones and with cameras and being able to do like FaceTime with a realtor.
Mhm.
Walking through a property, we would have had to fly there. That means take time off from work. That again, the time constraint is also again kind of limiting what you can do. But with the phones, you can easily kind of step away, do FaceTime with your realtor or whatever to find the right property. And electronic signing,
Mhm.
again, 10, 15 years ago, you can do electronic signing. So now it's there. So now we can do that. We're able to do that now. And so that's how we got started on that. And the first property that we got was single family rental, and everything worked well. And then we bought two more, and then so we built that way. And after I was working full time, my two sons were kind of like running business and buying the rentals and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was coming home every day, and it's just like all I could see is the equity in my house. I own a house in Foster City, and I could visualize my equity sitting on the couch watching TV all day. And then I was coming from work tired, working like my 15 hours a day. And then I was just like, that equity is just like sitting there, not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, okay, I have to get equity work for you. And this is, again, we're talking about my mind shift again. And this is the difference between kind of like the working class and then the wealthy class.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the working class is trying to work their hours, work, and then save some money.
Mm-hmm.
And then the working class is trying to figure out how the equity, how their money can work for them, so they don't have to go to work. So that's the other mindset too. And so I was obsessed by that thing. And so we decided to sell our primary residence in 2018, I think, or 17. And we bought with the proceeds, the equity from that, then we doubled down on MartelTurnkey. We bought a couple of apartment buildings, and then the cash flow was covering our living expenses, and so paying for the rent, paying for everything that we needed. So I was instantaneously financially free at that point. And so you kind of have to decide at one point. I said, do you want to own a house? How important is owning a house for you versus owning your time? So I prefer to own my time, instead of owning some kind of like house that I live in that has limited tax benefits.
Yeah. And it really is it's pushing a snowball, down a hill. Once you get the snowball and you get it over the edge, it's just going to start to roll and pick up speed and pick up momentum. And that's what you've done now by selling your house, cashing in, doubling down. Now that momentum is growing faster and faster and faster to where, you guys will be clipping away at way more than 10 units a month in the future, because you've got momentum behind you. You've got the equity that's growing and building behind you.
Yeah. We've been doubling, except with the pandemic year. We've been doubling every year, or more than double every year. So we're planning to do probably like 20 properties or more a month next year. So that'd be about 250 properties, something like that. So
that's great. Yeah, and then you've got your sons working with you, and so they're full time.
And my wife now.
Yeah. It's a family affair. So great.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to share that we should know about you and your business?
No, I think this is, I think the important thing is really about kind of like, decide what kind of life you want to live. I think and I think I'm very numbers driven. And even for me, like selling the properties, even I was looking at the numbers and I was just like, am I crazy? Like, why am I doing this? Like, should I be selling my house? Like, and sometimes you have to make some hard decisions in order to get there. I'm not recommending that people start selling their house, tomorrow, but really
unless it's in Memphis and Cleveland, and then to contact you and you'll buy it from them. So
that's right. Yeah. So, but you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of, you have to think about the numbers, your situation, and really kind of like weigh in kind of what kind of life you want for yourself and your kids.
For anybody that's heard this, that wants to get a hold of you, wants to learn more about MartelTurnkey, wants to know more about your book, how can they find out that information?
So on Instagram, I'm on E_Martel. On Facebook, I'm eric.martel.ca. I also have my own website called marteleric.com, where you can find all my social links and all of that. And if you want a free copy of the Kindle ebook, you can go to marteleric.com/giveaway, and you enter some email information, and I can send you a free copy of my ebook from Amazon.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great hearing your story, and thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.